Hello everybody and welcome back to another Sims 4 video. In this one I have a speed build for you guys, and man oh man is it a good one. This quickly became my second favorite build that I've ever done in the Sims 4 video, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not that complicated of a build shape wise. It's very symmetrical, a classic mansion. It definitely was giving Cluedo vibes for sure, and I really loved how this build turned out. If you're reading the title, you'll know that this is only part one of the speed build. This is going to mainly focus on the exterior. We get that all wrapped up in this episode, including the outdoor space. So the pool area, we have a little pergola and then a fire pit out the back that we furnish. So I had to split it up into two parts, otherwise we would have an hour-long video. I'm not lying. Like, this part here is 26 minutes. The exterior took me 34 minutes, so an hour total for this entire build, but it is worth it, I promise. I didn't want to do it all in one part just because it's going to be a very long video in one part, so we went and split into two parts, and I think that's okay. This part focuses on the exterior, and then in 2 days, the second part will come out that we will delve deeper into the interior. So you don't have to wait long for the second part to come out, luckily. And I will say, the interior is probably chef's kiss. Like, I really love how the interior turned out, way more than the exterior, but I thought the exterior turned out pretty nicely. Like you can see, this is pretty much the entire exterior coming together, with the exception of the roofing. We add some extra rooms on top to give dimension to the roof. And then what really makes the exterior are all the windows that we use, specifically the ones from the Romantic Garden stuff pack, and all the vines and wisteria that are in game really make this build come to life. I will say I really love using the fence from the Discover University expansion pack. However, it doesn't have a matching railing for the stairs, but we have a really similar one in debug that I end up using. You will see me maybe towards the end of the build. I can't remember when in the build specifically, but it's the closest thing we have to match the fence, even though it's not really functional for gameplay. Like, they don't really need railings to go up the stairs. It's purely for aesthetics. It turned out better in the end anyway. So I mentioned that this was my second favorite build that I've ever made in The Sims 4. If you have seen my touring my best builds video here on this channel, this one places second so far. And the first one being the Italian vineyard, my dream home that I built for myself. That one is still holds up to be my best build that I've ever made. However, I wasn't making videos at the time that I built that house, so there isn't actually any footage of me building it. So that's why I went back and I toured 5 of my best builds that I've made in general. I show you a couple houses. I've built 4 rows of townhouses, a gym, and then 3 mansions that are included in that video, and I will link it in the description if you go and see it. I think it is probably, funny enough, one of my best videos in this channel too, so I will link it in the description if you want to check it out. But if I had remade that video now, this would probably rank second to the Italian vineyard that I made. So yeah, like I said, we do cover this entire exterior with so many windows. I think it looks overwhelming at first, but definitely the greenery breaks it up a little bit and it doesn't look as bad. And at first I wanted to use a balcony up front, but when it came to the layout, it didn't work out because I like to have an open double height entrance in my mansion builds, and so there wasn't a way for you to reach it. So it just ends up being entirely decorative, and I think that that is okay. When I was building this house, I noticed that the windows we're using covered the entire wall, even though the windows are subjectively on the smaller size. But when you put them on the smallest wall height, they look so massive. But they work out anyway, so we keep them. However, I will say we do end up making this build a little bit smaller for the sake of symmetry, and the landscaping on this house just ends up being so like polished and manicured. The accent colors are like white, I want to say. So yeah, I wanted it to have a really classic look of a mansion and very symmetrical, and also like kind of like Cluedo vibes. So that's what I came up with, and I am really in love with the result. This home ends up having a lot of rooms. However, we only utilize 3 of them as bedrooms, and the rest we kind of used for entertaining purposes. So for instance, I'll get deeper into it when we get to the second part, but we have 2 rooms that I turned one of them into a bar and then another one into a cards room, and those are probably some of my favorite rooms that I've ever built in The Sims 4. I really love how they turned out because I bought the Maximalist kit, what is it, the Core to the Max kit, specifically for this build, and we definitely go all out with the it's definitely some of the wallpaper that are on those packs. They're really incredible, and we definitely make use of the chairs, the sofas and the armchairs in that pack specifically. And we mix them together with the Bistro kit that is one of the newer kits as of yet. So those two together kind of really complemented each other. And I don't want to give away the entire interior because, like I said, it's probably my favorite part of this build, but it's just a little teaser to what's to come. And I do want to tell you, since we're building the floor plan also, I want to let you know what those rooms are going to be. So for instance, the entire right side of the build is going to be the master bedroom wing, where it is going to have an ensuite, its own kind of living space, and also a massive walk-in wardrobe. So we definitely make use of that space for sure. And in this build specifically is going to have a small butler's room downstairs and a office space for my sim Isabel, which leads me into why am I building this. So if I have already stated the fact that I kind of suck at building in The Sims 4 unless I'm building it for a specific sim or a specific purpose, and for this one happens to be that I'm building it for my Kaplan series. I will link the playlist in the description below, but I won't go into too much detail just in case you haven't caught up. But basically my sim Isabel is in a new relationship, and this mansion is going to belong to him. He originally used to live in San Myshuno, but he also owns an estate in Bintulton Bay, and this is said estate. And when it comes down to it, I think they're both going to officially start living here pretty much after they started dating. So stay tuned for that. They've only just started dating and their relationship is a little bit controversial. But go check out the Kaplan series if you want to know what I mean. But this is where I go into details with the roofing. So we kind of make those empty rooms to simulate window sills in like the roof, but they're not actually functioning rooms. They're just purely decorative for the vibes, babe. It's for the vibes. And some will say that it's probably a waste of space, but I felt like this mansion needed a very like a more intricate roof, and so this is what I came up with. We definitely could have had access to them using ladders, and we could have used them as storage rooms, but it really was unnecessary, so we just leave them empty and we do them purely just for vibes. I will say I feel like this house would not have worked literally anywhere but Brintleton Bay. I feel like Brintleton Bay is more coastal in vibes, but this mansion, although it's brick, it kind of fits with the world really, specifically with the slot with the little two gates that are leading up into a ramp to the front of the build. I think the slot is definitely probably honestly my favorite lot in the entire game. And funny enough, I have been playing The Sims 4 for a really long time, but the Cats and Dogs expansion pack is one of the newer packs that I've owned. I want to say like I've only had this pack for a year, and definitely is starting to become one of my favorite expansion packs of all time that are kind of a staple in my Sims 4 gameplay. Like, I don't think I can play without that pack any longer, specifically because of Brintleton Bay. I think it's one of the best worlds in The Sims 4, without a doubt. It's just so good. It's just so good. Like, there's nothing else to say about this world. And to think about how long I've gone without playing this pack, it's kind of shameful. The only reason why I bought this pack is because it's been on sale for $15 before, and that's when I snatched it. And that's when I also snatched Eco Lifestyle at the same time. I don't think they'll ever, well, maybe sometime they will do that again, but they hardly ever make that big of a sale in the expansion packs. They usually only do them 50% off, but when I bought them they were like 65% off, so I only got them for $15, and definitely worth the $15 that I've spent. So here we are, which actually reminds me, at the time of me voiceovering this video, because I've built this house a really long time ago. I've only just started to release it now because my gameplay caught up to when this release made sense. But now that I'm recording a voiceover for this video, it's currently July 18th for me, and the newest expansion pack is set to release on July 25th, which is the Love Struck expansion pack. And the Sims 4 community is in an uproar currently because of the gameplay trailer that they've just released, and also the live streams that delves deeper into the expansion pack. And the general consensus is this is not an expansion pack, this is a game pack. And honestly, for what I've seen, it's definitely feels that way too. Like, I'm kind of agreeing with the general consensus when it comes to this particular issue. Since this is, I'm just starting to make content for The Sims 4, and obviously, ideally, you would own the most recent expansion pack, but as of where it stands right now, it just doesn't really feel that worth it, especially because I'm not an EA creator, so I'm not getting gifted that pack. And thinking about spending $40 on an expansion pack that feels like a game pack is just kind of frustrating. And I feel like it's sort of a pattern that the Sims team is kind of on right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I could definitely wait for it to go on sale before I buy it, but that could take forever. And if I'm honestly being realistic, I think the gameplay features that come with the expansion pack would really suit my particular play style. Like, I'll be honest, not all of my expansion packs that I own suit my play style. Like, I really don't use Eco Lifestyle for the gameplay. I mostly use it for the build and buy, but that's kind of okay for me because I've only spent $15 on the expansion pack. But when you're buying a brand new expansion pack for $40, you start to nitpick it a lot more critically, I would say. And I would say, even though the gameplay would be used a lot by me, I don't know if the price point really justifies me spending it. So I'm at a weird spot right now where I'm like, I should probably buy it because I'm making Sims 4 content, and I also would get a lot of personal use of the gameplay in the new expansion pack. So I don't know. I don't know. So we'll wait and see. Definitely, for sure. I mean, I follow a lot of Sims 4 YouTubers that offer a lot of helpful insight to the new expansion packs in terms of whether it's worth it, whether it's good for what you're paying for, and I will definitely be tuning into those so I can make a educated and informed decision on whether I should buy it or not. And I feel like the Sims 4 team justifies the price point with a lot of the cast assets and the build and buy stuff, and I feel like they just really lack a lot of gameplay and a lot of animation in the Sims 4 expansion packs in general. I honestly would prefer to see a more polished and a non-glitchy gameplay than to see as much of the build and buy and the cast assets, personally. Because if you think about how many packs this game has come out with, there's enough content to fill your heart's desire. But when it comes to really rich and meaningful non-buggy gameplay, that's when this game falls behind. So that's what I personally would prefer to see more of in the expansion packs that would justify the price point, not just all the glitz and glamour accessories that are there purely for decorative and vibes, which are kind of important too. But when you're buying an expansion pack, I feel like you really look more for the gameplay than anything else. I don't know if that's just me or not. But anyway, I've yapped long enough. Right now, we're just currently finishing up the exterior landscaping. Like I said, it was very polished, really manicured. I would imagine that my sim would definitely hire a gardener to be able to take care of all that and make it look as prim and proper as you possibly can. Like I said, also the exterior has a lot of white and purple color scheme. I was definitely pulling from the wisteria. I honestly don't know what wisteria is. Like, I've never seen a house that's covered with wisteria, and when you Google it, it's just that really purple beautiful foliage. But in The Sims 4, it kind of just looks like a grapevine, funny enough, but it's still really pretty. So we definitely carry the purple from the wisteria also into the landscaping. And right here, that's when we're just adding a couple of details in the front bit. The only thing that's left to do really is just the backyard's exterior or landscaping. We still have to work on some outdoor lighting, so we go back to the front entrance and finish that up. But for the most part, that was the entire facade completed. And for this backyard specifically, we do a little seating area underneath the pergola that's attached to the building. We also end up having a little resin fire pit area, and we obviously needed some lounges and umbrellas in front of the pool, but I feel like that's a given. But also what ends up happening in this space, we make use of the new pergola that came from the Riviera kit. Why do I always blank on it? I always want to call it French Riviera. I think it's Riviera Retreat. There we go. Riviera Retreat kit. It's that really beautiful metal. Sorry, we just got interrupted by my cat. Hi. He's saying hi. But anyway, it's that really beautiful metal pergola that you could even either have vines going over it, or also they're like covered in curtains. We end up using the one that has vines climbing over it, and we utilize that as an outdoor eating space, and it really turned out chef's kiss. This is the one that I'm talking about. We end up switching out the orientation of it. We switched the fire pit area and the dining area out, but that comes up here a little bit shortly. There we go. But yeah, not much else going on in the backyard. It's a relatively smaller lot, so we couldn't really fit a lot of stuff, but for the space that we had, we definitely utilized them for a couple of luxurious activities. I mean, come on, having a pool of that size is really massive. Like, it would be so much fun. And I will say, we do end up using those little fountain rocks from the Riviera Retreat kit, but I don't think I had footage for that because it kept glitching out and it was deleting on its own, so I had to do that off of camera and add them in separately. So I think all of a sudden you're just going to see the rock fountain appear all of a sudden. So that's why I didn't include them in, but hey, it's okay. But this is our little dining area that's underneath that pergola. I think that area is just going to be so special. I feel like what a dream to eat out here on like a breezy afternoon, or not afternoon, maybe like an evening, maybe, because an afternoon would probably be too sunny. However, I did place a massive tree right in front of it that gives it a fair amount of shade in during the daytime, so you could, but it might not be ideal. I will say I don't intend on doing it like a screenshot outro to wrap up this speed build or the next one, but I do intend on making an entirely separate video that is going to showcase more of that build. It's going to be called the Chateau Blue De Reign tour video, and in that one I think I'm going to showcase my Kaplan series characters, and they're just going to be having a party in this mansion. And honestly, this mansion was specifically made for entertaining purposes, so that's how I think I'm gonna do it instead. So if don't hold your breath for any like screenshot or like a tour video at the end, but rather wait for an entirely separate video. So that's gonna be really fun to film. I haven't done it yet, so I am definitely looking forward for that. So yeah, this is our fire pit area that's just coming along deliciously. We end up using floorboards for flooring, and the entire area just turns out really special. We also wrap them around with some landscaping. At first I wanted to do this like really weird asymmetrical stairs, but it just wasn't working, and so we had to fix that up so it won't look like that, especially here when I'm trying to like do some landscaping around it. I couldn't make it to work, so bye bye it goes. And this is the final shape of it. At least we just add a little more decorative plants aka landscaping, decorative plants, just to finish up this area. But yeah, this is the speed build pretty much wrapping up here. So I'm going to take this opportunity to just plug some stuff. Please do check out my Kaplan series. That series is really my bread and butter. It's the reason why I started my channel, to be honest, just because I really wanted to share the storylines of my Sims that are fucking weird and crazy. So I will have a link in the description for you to check it out. And then also stay tuned for the next part of this installation, where we furnish the interior. You trust me, you do not want to miss it, because it's so good. It's so good. I feel like I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but this slays. Like I said, it's my second best build that I've ever made in The Sims 4, and it definitely shows. And also follow me on X for live updates so you can get notified when I upload any more content, or just personal updates of like what's going on, what I'm planning on doing, am I going to be taking a break, yada yada yada, all the fun stuff. So I feel like that's probably where you want to be, just to stay up to date. And yeah, that is pretty much everything I have to say. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe for more content. All right, I will leave you right here. Bye.